Hi, this is Ken Downer from Asheville, North Carolina, and I play at Broadmoor Golf Course. This is Golf Smarter number 988.
So we're surrounded by farmland and just untouched nature, which, as everybody, your audience, and you know, that's pretty rare in golf anymore. Most golf developments are built to sell houses, it seems like, anymore. And to have a golf course that's just strictly golf, I really think that's what makes this place special in itself. The golf course it's a fantastic design. It's always in fantastic shape. To come out here and be just in nature and play golf the way it was probably originally meant to be played, it's special. And that's the one thing that really turned me on to this place when I first came here.
Yocha Dehe Golf Club and Cache Creek Casino, History and TeeTour with Will Foust.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Will.
Hello, Fred.
How are you, man?
Good. You?
I'm doing well. Northern California's been getting a lot of rain lately. What about you guys?
Yeah, we had 4.5 inches over the weekend and through the middle of the week. So nice little February storm to hopefully get us. Still need a little bit more, but at least get us a good start going into the season. So,
and this course probably has phenomenal drainage, though, right? I mean, it's built for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's it opened in 2008, so it's a fairly new course, and with that, they did spend a lot of time making sure the drainage was set up correctly, and it does drain really well. So we're pretty spoiled in that regard. So, yeah. A lot of courses aren't, so we're definitely lucky. So
awesome. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about the course in a bit, but what I wanted to do was start a conversation really talking about how Indian nations, Native American nations, have not only built their casino businesses and taken advantage of what they were able to do with casinos, but the combination of casino and golf. At what point did they realize this is a winning combination?
Yeah, so I wasn't around. I've been here since 2017, but I'm not 100% sure on the backstory. But I know that the tribe does. Several of the tribal members that were involved at the time, tribal leaders, I should say, did have a love for the game of golf, and I they wanted to bring that here and make that a part of the casino experience, and so. And part of the resort experience. So I think that's what kind of kicked everything off, with Yocha Dehe Golf Club and being a part of Cache Creek Casino and really growing, their influence in the golf space. And they did it pretty quickly. The Yocha Dehe Golf Club name really took off pretty quick. Being a new facility opening in 2008, we've had several awards over the years, and it's gained regional, accolades through the years, and also national accolades. So yeah.
I know the Golf Week and Golf Advisors both ranked it in the top 50 for resort courses.
Yeah. So awesome. We've had some good years with that, and Golf Week has been fairly recent, cracking into the top 50.
Great.
2021 or 22 was the first year to crack the top 50, I believe, on that. And it takes some time to gain recognition on that particular ranking, but we're proud of that ranking. I think that's probably the one I'm most proud of at this property. Golf Pass, Golf Advisor are always good to be on because they're user driven.
Right.
But I really like the Golf Week rankings as well. I think they're it's a nationally known publication, and that's always nice to be recognized in that. So,
well, it's been talked about. I know a lot of people who talk about it being a West Coast destination, not just Northern California, but it's a West Coast destination, resort and course.
Yeah,
it
is.
Where do you pull from? Yeah.
We're still pretty regional. In the majority of our customer base is Bay Area, Sacramento, and kind of Central Valley in this area. So Bay Area, et cetera. So we are starting to work on, growing our footprint, not only just on the West Coast, but nationally. And with our additional rooms we opened in 2020, we've got 659 total rooms. I believe that's I keep misquoting that. I better double check that. But, anyhow, we'll call it six. We'll just round down to 650 and call it 650. But the 459 room addition. So I guess this 659 was opened in 2020, and with that, obviously not the greatest time to open a new hotel wing, but we're in 2025 now, and we're taking full advantage of having those rooms. We're selling packages. We're trying to really, get people here from more than just, the day trip. We want people to be able to come here and stay the night and make it a trip. And so we finally have the rooms available to do that. And, it's been good. So it's been a fun little growth period over the last couple of years. Now that we're on the other side of the pandemic and being able to have people play golf here and have the opportunity to stay at the casino resort. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to come on up there. I've not played it before. I'm really looking for. I've heard so many people say, "Have you gone up to Cache Creek yet? Have you played Yocha Dehe?" And I'm like, "No," and I'm really excited to do it. So a buddy and I are going to be coming up soon, and looking forward to a couple rounds of golf and the casino experience and the spa experience. I'm very much going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're excited to have you. I know it's
thank you.
It's you'll really enjoy it. So,
how familiar are you with the Indian Nation that controls this property and the resort?
Fairly familiar. I mean, we do work hand in hand with them. So Yocha Dehe Wintun Nation owns and operates the property.
It's pronounced Yocha Dehe Wintun?
Yep.
Okay.
Wintun Nation. Yep.
Wintun. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, they operate. Obviously, we operate under the Cache Creek Casino Resort umbrella. So we're part of Cache Creek Casino Resort. The golf club is just named after the tribe. Yocha Dehe actually stands for Home by the Spring Water, and in the native I think Patwin language. So it's we're right down by Cache Creek itself. There actually is a Cache Creek, the golf course borders. So it kind of, yes, we are familiar, and we do work with them hand in hand. They own the property. They're very involved in the operation and success of the business. They have very high standards for the property, which is fun to be a part of. And it's part of the reason why we are able to have, a place that is so well recognized, because their expectation is to have, one of the best or the best property on the West Coast. So, yeah, we're very fortunate to work for an ownership, the Yocha Dehe Wintun Nation, and have their support to be able to do what we do and have the resources to provide that top tier experience, because it's tough. I mean, golf is, let's face it, golf is not every owner, not every, place has the resources to have a staff member on the first tee, a starter starting you, somebody at bag drop, greeting you when you get out of your car, somebody on 18. We hand out mango scented towels at the end of the round on hot days.
Nice.
Not every
and
golf
you get
course.
Hot days.
Yeah, exactly. And not every golf course has 2 player assistants on busy days. Make sure pace play is good, but also that our guests are having a good day. And so we're just able to, and in addition, I should mention our course conditioning, which I feel like we're pretty well known for. it's pretty rare when we have a bad condition day, and that's usually if the only time that would happen is weather related. So, either we get a lot of rain, like right now, and I wouldn't even call it bad condition. It's still in great condition, but our standards are so high that, and again, our ownership standards are so high that they give us the resources to be able to make that happen now through certain agronomy practices, et cetera, that perhaps other local golf courses aren't able to do either. And we have a cool season grass here. So bluegrass and, blue and rye mix, and the rough and fairways, and bent grass greens. Bent grass can handle hot weather. We do get a lot of hot weather here, but rye and blue, it takes a lot of maintenance to keep rye and blue in good condition through the summer months here, where you see, several months close to 100 degrees or above 100 degrees. Those grasses do great in cool climates, up north, but here it's tough. It's a challenge. And most of properties in our area have Bermuda grass. We do not. And so we're a cool season property in kind of a transition climate. And so that also necessitates even more attention to a strong, agronomy practice. So we're really, again, fortunate to have that support. Not every owner would have allowed cool season grass because the amount of maintenance it does take. And that's why most properties in Northern California, at least in the Sacramento area, are Bermuda grass. You get closer to the Bay Area, cooler temperatures, you're going to see cool season grass, but we're kind of in that transition zone / even warmer climate than most. So, it allows us to keep the golf course green year round, which, as this time of year, most places that are Bermuda are blonde, as they would say. So it goes dormant and doesn't look quite as good. So yeah, we're pretty fortunate, to have that support from ownership. Not to go on a long tangent there, but that's in a nutshell. Kind of paints the picture of how much support we do have from our ownership.
One thing I'm not familiar with Indian-owned, Native American-owned properties like this, are there? Do they have multiple properties, multiple resorts and courses, or does every nation have their own, and it's a network, or are they all independent? How does that work?
And I don't know how much knowledge I really have as it relates to other tribes and how they operate, but our particular tribe, owns and operates this one casino resort property.
I see.
Now they obviously own other things and have other ventures, such as an on-site olive mill and winery. So it's called Seca Hills. It's a fantastic. They make fantastic olive oil. If you ever get when you come, you got to check it out. And the wine is good as well. But yeah, it's really up to each property. I know a lot of the tribal leaders do stay in touch, but to what extent, I'm not privy to. I don't know that information, but and I know I'm sure to some extent that they all do work together and such. But this Cache Creek Casino Resort is just operated and owned by the Yocha Dehe Wintun Nation. So,
and do you have a network of hospitality and golf directors that you can pull from, or are you pretty much on your own for ideas and development?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So we work hand in hand. Troon Golf has been involved here since the beginning.
That's great.
Most of your viewers and know about Troon, and so
I love Troon courses.
Troon was here, hired to help build the property. So Troon and operate it. So Troon has been here since the beginning. So as it relates to that question, I still have a line of communication with Troon. I'm a direct hire with Cache Creek, but Troon is still there, as part of the property, and from a sales and marketing perspective to anything I have questions with operations, et cetera, I can gain, from their help and expertise in the golf business. And I actually worked for Troon prior to coming here. So that's why I'm here is I was a Troon employee and came to Cache Creek because Troon was here operating such a wonderful property and got the opportunity to work here as well. So
interesting.
So yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of connections within Troon that if I have questions, and I always bounce ideas off of, it's been helpful. And there's a lot of guys locally too, outside the Troon network, as affiliated with PGA of America, which I'm a Class A PGA member as well. But there's a lot of expertise in the Sacramento market, and a lot of good guys in the golf business. It's a pretty tight knit community, the Sacramento golf market. So, and even in the Bay Area, everybody knows each other. So it's easy to get, to stay in touch with everybody and see how everybody else is doing and get advice when needed and see how their other properties are handling situations. And, for instance, COVID was a big one. Everybody was bouncing ideas off each other because none of us
exploded.
Yeah,
right?
None of us knew how to handle the initial stages of pandemic. Like Hagen Oaks and the city courses were operating, through the pandemic, safely, of course. But I got a lot of ideas from them, and people found that golf was a place to, I feel like they did a great job through that whole thing. So I got back to your point, we definitely all kind of bounce ideas off each other and share thoughts. So, yeah. So
did you come from the Troon on the golf course side or the corporate side?
The golf course side. So I started with the Weston Mission Hills in Palm Springs. Worked there as assistant pro. And
Ryan was Ryan Wilson there then?
At some point he was, before me though.
Oh, okay.
I do know Ryan. So yeah.
Right. I interviewed Ryan when he was at Mission Hills, and then years later I moved, like 12 years ago, and I lived right next door to Marin Country Club. And and I was there. One of the guests brought us in for dinner one night and introduced me to Ryan, and I gave him my card, and he looks at it and he goes, "Golf Smarter?" I went, "Yeah, you know about the podcast?" He goes, "I was on it." I'm like, "Oops." Problem with doing hundreds of episodes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, he's a good guy. So
he's a great guy.
He was there a little bit before me. I don't know how long before me, but probably I was there 2012 or 2011 through 2015 or so, 2016, somewhere in there. Okay. I can't remember when he was there, but go ahead.
The Troon Network. So I was going to ask you about geographically. Let's give the audience an understanding of where Cache Creek is located in Northern California.
Yeah, it is about 45 minutes west of Sacramento. And an hour from the Bay, depending where you're coming from. If you're coming from the South Bay,
let's just put it San Francisco.
Yeah,
let's say San Francisco.
Hour and a half. And it depends on the San Francisco traffic, but
yeah, right.
There's a lot of traffic. I mean, I have no idea. It could take forever, but it's not. It's really pretty close. I mean, it's not a bad. It's a day trip property from basically anywhere in the Bay. Anywhere in the Sacramento area. And again, that's most of our clientele. When we get the day trip crowd, and they're happy to come out for the day and leave a little bit early and play golf and be home for dinner. So,
and how much of the do you draw in from those destination points, starting points, for the casino as well? I mean, because people probably just forget about golf. They just want the casino, right?
Yeah, and that's one let's face it. That's the primary business at Cache Creek is the casino. It's
and Cache is not spelled CASH.
yeah, exactly. CACHE. So Yeah, a little fun play on words. So, um, yeah, and that I would say, and again, I'm not as involved in the gaming side of the business, but
Right.
that that is the majority of the clientele there as well. The Bay Area and Sacramento area, probably more so the Bay Area, I'd say. But again, I'm not the expert on that side of the business. But there's definitely some crossover. We do get a lot of people who, back to the packages that we offered, a lot of people do come in, stay the night. They spend a little time on the gaming floor and spend a little time on the golf course, spend time in our restaurants, etc. So, or the spa. So, so it's kind of turned into a fun resort destination, and that's been the fun part of this whole thing.
All right. Well, I want to get into this golf course here, the Yocha Dehe Golf Course. Tell me the history. Who is the designer of this course?
Yeah, Brad Bell. He's a local Sacramento guy. Played several years in the PGA Tour. He designed some other area golf courses too. I want to say Coyote Moon, possibly, and I mean, I don't want to throw a bunch of stuff out. But, yeah, so
that Coyote Moon's a tough course.
Yeah. From what I haven't played it yet, so I guess maybe I have to get up there and play it. But
you got to get to Truckee.
Yeah, I'd have to check. I'd have to do a little research into the other courses he's designed, but several of the local courses he's been involved in. But played some time on the tour, and they hired him to do our design. So,
Well, and when you think of Sacramento, it's pretty much flat. Until you get another hour or so outside to the east and you get up into the Sierras. And then if you go back into the San Francisco area and you play the golf courses there, you don't always have flat golf courses. You got a lot of elevation change throughout the course.
Right.
Now that we're in the central part of the state here, you're right in between. What is the topography? What's the terrain like?
We are in the Capay Valley. Which in my opinion is sort of an undiscovered part of Northern California. It's really beautiful. We have, I believe they're called the Blue Mountains on one side of us, and the hills are kind of on the other side. So we're kind of right in the middle of a valley, and the golf course, while it's on flat land, is in between kind of two hills within the valley, and right up against Cache Creek itself, the actual creek, and it's really, really picturesque. No homes on the golf course, which is very rare. I think you can see a farmer's house kind of off in the distance, but so we're surrounded by farmland and just untouched nature, which, as everybody, your audience, and that's pretty rare in golf anymore. Most golf developments are built to sell houses, it seems like, anymore, and to have a golf course that's just strictly golf. I really think that's what makes this place special in itself. The golf course it's a fantastic design. Like I said, always in fantastic shape. But to come out here and be just in nature and play golf the way it was probably originally meant to be played it's special, and that's the one thing that really turned me on to this place when I first came here. Even I'm from Montana originally, and even being from Montana, there's not that many golf courses even in Montana that don't have homes all over the place.
Right.
It just gets old, and I don't think that's the way golf is meant to be played. So come out to Yocha Dehe, and we don't have to worry about hitting somebody's house. It's just
good.
pure golf. It's the way it's supposed to be played. So I think that's our biggest plus. Hopefully that helps kind of paint a picture. In the Capay Valley, I mean, it's fantastic. We got vineyards that run through part of the golf course. So it kind of has that Napa Valley type of feel to it in certain areas. And
nice.
The valley itself has, almond orchards and olive trees, and it's a pretty unique place. So If you go to our website, you can kind of get a feel a little bit through some of the photography and videography we have on there.
And the website is yochadehegolfclub.com, YOCHADEHE golfclub.com.
Correct. Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
That's it.
Good. Is it a walkable course?
It is very walkable. Back to being, you mentioned a lot of the courses in Sacramento are flat. The piece of land that the golf course is built on is fairly flat, other than the first tee shot, which we can talk a little bit about.
We will.
And so, but it might be a little bit of walking up the first tee uphill, but that's about the only hill you're going to have to walk up or down the entire day. And so, very walkable golf course. You don't have to walk a mile to get from hole 9 to 10, like we've seen at some golf course layouts. It's just laid up very well.
Yeah, there are some courses in Northern California where you've got a long walk between the green to the next tee box.
Yeah.
On a lot of holes. Are yours is pretty much right on top of one another?
That's it. Yeah.
Easy?
And
Nice.
without being annoyingly close to the green. No, it's super easy. It's very walkable as it relates to getting to the next tee box from the green complexes. To your point, it's not a 10-minute walk to the next tee box. So anywhere on the golf course. So very, very walkable.
And how many tee boxes do you have on each hole? You're probably
we
for
have
all kinds of players, right?
Yeah, we have 5 sets of tees. So, and our longest, I should know this off the top of my head. I'm referencing my scorecard over here, but
that's all right. I don't want to hold it against you.
Yeah, I should know this, but so our longest tees are 7,337 yards, and our shortest tees are 5,426 yards. So there's a very wide, range of playing abilities in between that, and set of tee markers in between that again, back to the playability of our golf course. It's very playable for any skill set. We've had, tour players play out here, and they definitely are able to, put up a good number, but at the same time, they're not, putting up a 58 out here or anything like that, like they might, a muni course somewhere. So it still challenges them. But again, your beginner golfer can come out here, wide fairways, the rough's not deep, very playable, very easy and fair for every golfer. But again, you can tip it out for your better players. And John Catlin's kind of one of the guys that he grew up in Sacramento. He's won a few times in the European Tour, and I think he was just actually Asian Tour Player of the Year this past year. He's a Sacramento guy, and he comes out here quite often when he's in town. And I know he's put up some good numbers out here, but he really enjoys the property. So you got to get him on your podcast sometime. He's a good guy. So
all right, you got to help me do that.
Yeah,
no. You can help me out with that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Happy to do that. So I can.
What's your best score on the course?
Oh goodness.
Gotcha.
If I could play more than, I shouldn't say if I could. If I did play more than a few, it seems like I don't play all but once a month anymore. 68
you're working.
Maybe, I think.
Nice.
But again, that's once in the blue moon. I can do something like that. Most of the time
that to me was one of the bigger surprises of talking to golf professionals is how little golf they get to play, because they got business to run.
That's it. Yeah. We're here to operate the business and make sure our guests are having a good day first and foremost, and the fun comes after. Now, I should criticize myself a little bit here, because I think most golf pros could probably play a little more than they do, and I'm one of them. But I don't know. I keep telling myself I need to play more, so maybe I'll do that this year.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Cache Creek, is it run through the whole course? Do you meet up with it in many of the holes? Does it come into play? And do you have more than creeks and lakes as well?
we do have lakes as well. So the creek itself, Cache Creek itself, runs parallel to holes 2 and 3. And on part of 14, you can see the creek, but it's mostly 2 and 3. It really only comes into play, I would say, on hole 3 on the right side. If you hit an errant shot off to the right, which I happen to have done a few times, your ball will end up in the creek. So the ponds are on 15, 16. There's kind of there is a kind of a long pond there that runs along both those holes. And then again on 17 and 18, that same pond also borders hole 10 on the right side. So there is some water in play on the golf course. There's not tons of it, I wouldn't say, but there is there is water out there. So
maybe you need to come to the course with just more than one sleeve of balls.
Yeah, maybe. And I would say again, it's the water itself comes into play, but it's not overly unfair, if that makes sense. So there's no island greens or any forced carry.
Psychological effect.
Correct. Yeah, it's just and again, that's what Brad Bell did such a good job with. He had it, maybe parallel holes and obviously if you hit an errant shot to the right, a lot of times your ball's probably in the water. But he didn't have any forced carries or anything that's unfair or overly challenging, if that makes sense. So
yeah. So and you have a practice facility, you have schools, you have instructors, you have academies, all that as well.
Yeah, so we have 2 putting greens, chipping green, and a driving range. To the instruction, our head golf professional, Chris Sheffield, he's our other PGA golf professional here on site. He does the majority of the instruction. I'm kind of more in operations at this point, but he's a fantastic instructor. And he actually has a guest instructor back to Troon come up from Palm Springs every summer, and they put on a fantastic multi-day golf academy that includes room nights and food and beverage and 3 days of instruction. And that information is on our website as well for anybody interested. But Chris also offers individual instruction on a daily basis and hourly basis, all kinds of good stuff there. So again, being a resort destination, it's not like we have a membership that really drives, 10 lessons a day, but, we want instruction to be available to our guests when they do come here as a full service resort. So Chris does an excellent job with that. And there's a lot of different opportunities for people to be able to come visit, learn the game of golf, get better, and spend time on the property. So yeah, it's kind of a fun deal that he's really grown a lot over the last few years. So
awesome. The driving range, are we hitting off of mats or are we hitting off of grass?
So we are hitting off of mats. Back to the cool season grass story.
I prefer hitting off of mats on the driving range, but that's me.
Yeah, and we get mixed thoughts on that, and kind of a little explanation that maybe some of our golfers don't know. Cool season grass in the summer, which is what we have, is insanely hard to maintain. And if we start using our grass tee boxes in the summer, it will be dirt by middle of July, end of July, most likely, because that grass just does not grow back at a sustainable pace in the summer. And in the winter, it's we get enough rain in Northern California where it's muddy. So mats are kind of the way to go. And people are honestly fine with it. We have a high quality mat. And so our driving range, you'll see when you get here, it's you actually hit over a gully. I'll self-admittedly admit it's not my favorite driving range, but for our golfers, they actually love it. If you're not, it's unique. We'll put it that way. So you're hitting out the target. It's the only forced carry on our golf course is on the driving range. And so, but it's fun. I mean, it's just unique. So the golfers that listen to your podcast, they know what I'm talking about. You'll know when you do come out here. It's different. It's a forced carry over a ravine, and it's interesting. So
awesome. So when I'm at the driving range and I'm preparing for my round at your course, what shots should I concentrate working on that I may need to help mail me out on the course? Am I needing to punch shots from under trees? Is it my bunkers? What are the things that I should be practicing and warming up with on the before my round?
Yeah, I would say with our golf course, back to the putting green and kind of the whole practice facility itself, I would focus on the short game, get a feel for our bunker on our chipping green, roll some putts, because our greens do roll a little bit different than a lot of the golf courses in our area.
How so?
They're just they're maybe a little bit more undulated, and I wouldn't say that they're overly difficult, but they just roll a little bit different. I can't really explain it, but they're not fast, they're not slow. They're a fair,
they're not straight,
good speed. Yeah, and they're not straight. So, it's just worth rolling a few balls when you get here just to get a feel for that. As far as the shots go,
good to know. Mid
irons, if you can hit your mid irons good on this golf course, you'll have a good day, depending on your skill level, obviously. But driver is important, but again, we have wide fairways, so it's not we don't have a lot of trees out here, so no punt, don't really need punt shots. That there are trees, you could get under them, but not to the extent that a lot of your traditional old school golf courses have. They're the tree line stuff. This is not that type of course. So,
well, let's take a little bit of what I like to call a TeeTour.
Okay.
We're going to pick a couple holes to go over, and I want you to give us the best pro advice on how to play that hole. So, and earlier you mentioned the first hole being unique compared to the rest of the course. Tell us why. Starting with our tee shot.
The first tee shot, I think it's 100. I've heard the word 100 or the number 170 feet above the first fairway, but it's an elevated first tee shot. You can actually see the whole valley from the first tee. So you're starting.
Take your pictures there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's kind of the welcome to our property, and so the first tee shot, again, very elevated. It's way above the first fairway, but yeah, it kind of makes you feel good about your golf game, because the ball, you hit it and it just flies forever. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. If you hit a slice, it's going to slice forever too. But but we make it fair, and we kind of have a local rule, and that if you slice it off into the farmer's field on hole one, you just take a free drop down by the cart path, or where it crossed. So we don't by any means penalize anybody, make them stand up there all day and hit 10 shots, but it's a really cool first tee shot, very unique. So awesome.
All right, now we're in the fairway of number one, and pretty much straightforward shot to the green.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward shot, and it's not an overly long hole. The hole is 454 yards from the back tee box. But again, we get that nice elevated first tee shot. A lot of times leaves people with a short iron, or at most a mid iron into that green, and for the better players, a wedge into that green. Pretty straightforward. So nothing.
Awesome.
Nothing. There's a couple bunkers around that green, but it's kind of if you hit the fairway, it's a good birdie opportunity for the better players, and a good opportunity for your average player to get a par right off the start. So,
and it's par 4.
Correct. Yep.
Par 4. Okay. What is your favorite hole on the course?
I like hole 10 the best. It's a par 5 that borders that pond we talked about earlier. The pond is on the right side, and the hill is on the left side. So there's actually one of the hills I was talking about earlier that borders the golf course. Hole 10 actually butts up against that. And, your drive is a fairly challenging drive. There's some fairway bunkers that Brad placed out there just close enough to where if you hit a good shot and you hit it just to the right a little bit, you're going in the bunkers. There's a bit of a strategic game plan from the tee. And then you have the opportunity to go for it too, or lay up. The green is actually elevated from the fairway. It starts to climb that hill we were talking about. So it gives you an opportunity to, if you hit a good drive, to go for the green, but it's not an overly easy second shot because of the hill, and it slants a little bit to the right. So you kind of have to lead it, a little bit left, and then hopefully your ball kind of takes the natural slope and rolls towards the green, once it lands, or again, back to the point, it's not the easiest shot in the world. So if you mishit it, you're probably going to be penalized a little bit. So either in the rough or chipping up to an elevated green, which is usually not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
And then or pitching up to, or you can lay up and leave yourself 100 yards at the bottom of the hill to hit up to an elevated green, which I'd rather be 100 yards away than 40 yards on that particular shot, because there's a bunker right in front of the green, and there's a bunker deep too. So on the back left part of the green. So it's a fun hole. It's just unique enough, and again, it kind of has the picturesque qualities to it that make it just, a lot of people say hole 1, but hole 10 is my favorite. So
okay.
And a lot of people probably hate hole 10. So
And you mentioned earlier about undulated greens. Are the greens particularly large, or are they
are big
postage
greens.
stamps? Big greens.
They're huge. They're big greens, and that's back to the playability of our golf course. And I shouldn't say they're overly undulated greens.
So a lot of opportunity for 3-putts too.
There are, but at the same time, it leaves enough creativity in your, to where you have to have. It makes you think. It's not these flat greens that sometimes you see at places where it's like, well, obviously this is breaking right to left. You have to think a little bit. It's not like insane, slopes by any means, but you have to spend a little time looking over your putt to really get a good idea what it's going to do, if that makes sense. So
yeah. Now tell me about your favorite par 3, because we've already done a par 4 and a par 5. What's your favorite par 3 on the course?
It's not 13, because I don't think that's anybody's favorite par 3.
Why?
It's 200. Let's see, what is it from the back? 254 yards from the back tees.
A par 3?
Par 3, and just from the middle set of tees, it's 205 yards.
Oh my.
Front tees, it's 177 yards. So, by no means anybody's favorite hole. Very long, very difficult, almost to the point where maybe it doesn't really fit with their. It's almost like something you'd see on the PGA Tour or something. But there's no trouble. There's a big bunker in front, so if you top it or something, you might end up in that. But that's definitely not my favorite, nor anybody else's. So I wanted to point that out. I think 16 probably. It's got the water on the left that we talked about earlier, and it's kind of that fun yardage. 16 is 160 yards from the middle tees and 206 yards from the back tees. So, for your better players, they've got a mid iron into that. Most players have mid iron or a long iron into that hole, and just kind of a fun shot. The green slopes from right to left towards the water, and it's kind of like a kidney shaped hole. So the pin's in the back left. You actually kind of have to work the ball a bit right to left to get it over there without worrying about the water. And there's a fairly large ridge that runs through the middle of the green. So just from the tee, it makes it just a little bit more challenging, but fun at the same time. So
awesome.
It's a good hole.
Well, Will, again, I really appreciate your hospitality. I'm looking forward to coming out and playing and gambling and resting and relaxing and eating and getting a massage and hanging out at the pool. It's not going to be there that long, but I'm intending to get a lot in while we're there. So thank you so much. And thanks for your insights on the golf course. Again, it's the Yocha Dehe Golf Course in the middle of Northern California Golf Club. All right. Yep. And it's yochadehegolfclub.com.
That's correct. Yep.
All right. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.